there is a lot of news to get into. This got you very excited. Now, okay, so folks, if you're not sure what I am talking about. Now, Tim Cain, if the name does not ring a bell, is one of the founders of the Fallout series. He is the creator of Fallout. He has been retired. And, you know, Jamie, you and I have talked about this probably to nauseum, to the point of nauseum, if I'm being fair. But I'm a huge Fallout fan. I love Fallout. I love Bethesda. I love what Todd Howard continues to bring to the series. But if I'm being fair, Fallout 76 was not, I'm not the audience type for that. Like I said, I was invited a couple of months ago to go to the Fallout 76 thing, which was awesome. Got a chance to meet with the project leads. It was great to talk with them. But even with the new content, it's not the Fallout that I am looking for. I know for a lot of people, it's, you know, you can play it like a single player game and it's great, but that's not the Fallout that I want to play. What I am looking for is a narrative focused single player game in the way that Fallout 3, Fallout 4, Fallout New Vegas. Those are the types of experiences that I am personally looking forward to, right? And that got exacerbated last year when I sat with Mrs. Boom and we watched the Fallout series. And Jamie, you've talked about this many times before, where in your region, there were record sales of Fallout 3 and Fallout 4 right after the series, which blew up on Amazon. And season 2 is right around the corner, right? It's in a couple of weeks. We've seen a preview of it. It looks to be even better than the original. And of course, they are going to New Vegas, which is absolutely insane. So I got to be honest with you. Like, if I were to give some criticism, which I think is completely valid for both Microsoft, well, all three, Microsoft, Xbox, and more specifically Bethesda, is that they don't have anything ready to go with the hype of this TV series. I actually think that they were not looking further or too far down the path. And I think that ultimately is a failure of leadership. Like, I'm not trying to make this into a negative commentary, but I'm just being honest. As a gamer, I understand that we have so many games to play, we don't have enough time in the day to play them. But my criticism towards Bethesda more specifically is that you should have guessed, or at least had your feelers out there, that you would have had a game ready to go, and they don't. Now, of course, there's always the chance that the rumored Fallout 3 remake could be something that's announced at the Game Awards and shadow drop, right? Like that I've been talking about that for weeks. But my other criticism is that right now, the way Bethesda works is they are taking longer and longer to have these games come out. And I'm talking, and listen, this is not because they're lazy devs, folks. I don't want to hear any of that. They literally have too much on their plate. They have 3 ginormous franchises, and most of those franchises have MMOs that they have to consistently add content to. So, of course, there's ESO and there's the Elder Scrolls. Now, we know that they're full on, it's a full court press for Elder Scrolls 6. But Todd Howard said that that's not for a couple of more years. Now, when he says couple, I don't think he means 2. Now, I would love to believe that that could be a launch game, Jamie, for the series, whatever the next console, the Xbox Fusion in 2027. That would be a killer launch title, right? But you and I, and of course, Umbra, have talked about this, and I'm sure I probably have made mention on this on other podcasts. If they follow the standard 5 to 6 years per game, right? And we just look at Starfield releasing in 2023. We know that they're working on new content. We know that they're working on a PlayStation 5 version. So Bethesda, besides working on both Fallout 76 and ESO content, they also have to contend with new DLC for Starfield. They have to still contend with bringing us Elder Scrolls 6. And somewhere in there, they have to figure out a way to get Fallout 5, which is, it seems like it's an impossible task. Well, this new information that we have in front of us is pretty rad. And I know it got you super stoked. So Wario64 posted this. You shared it. Well, actually, I shared it in the DM, and of course, you went crazy over it. And this is what Wario had to say the other day. He posted this, folks. Fallout creator Tim Cain has rejoined Xbox's Obsidian Entertainment as a full-time employee. Now, he has not joined Bethesda, folks. He has joined Obsidian. Now, why I brought up the whole Bethesda thing is because this is where I think, and he says, you know what? Before I give you my thoughts, folks, let me read to you the quote literally from Tim Cain himself. He says this: I can't talk about the project that I'm working on at Obsidian just because it's covered by NDA. Don't bother guessing. You're not going to guess right. I would probably say that I'm a lot less retired now. Okay. He's the creator of Fallout, ladies and gentlemen. And no, he did not join Bethesda. He has rejoined Obsidian. Now, the reason why I did the whole Bethesda spiel is, and there's a point to it. And apologies for being long-winded. But Jamie, I want to drop the microphone to you in a second. So, if Bethesda is working on potentially a DLC package for Starfield, they're full on working on the Elder Scrolls 6. Where the hell does that leave Fallout 5? That's the big question, because look, folks, again, I'm not a mathematician by any stretch of it. But let's just do the Bethesda math. Let's just say for shits and giggles that they follow the 5-year plan. Let's try and lowball it. 5 years. So 5 years from Starfield in 23 gets the Elder Scrolls 6 for 2028. So they missed the launch of the news of Xbox Fusion, and they release it a year later in 28. Okay, fine, right? You want the game to come out and be just as polished as Starfield was. Starfield was probably the best ever released Bethesda game, right? And if they follow the same 5-year plan, brother, that gets Fallout 5 to 2033. Bro, I'm going to be 63 years old when Fallout 5 comes out. Like, to me, I'm sorry, that's just not good enough. And again, folks, I know there's going to be somebody in the chat like, oh, look at this entitled gamer. What is he talking about? But I'm just being honest. So then now we focus ourselves on the big news. The big news is that Tim Cain, who is the founder of the series, has come back. And look, he can say what he wants. Of course, he's going to be cool. He can't break any NDAs. I mean, but at the same time, Jamie Moran, is it safe to maybe think that they might be working on something Fallout related? What are your thoughts on all of this?
Well, unfortunately, games take forever to make. You look at Grand Theft Auto and you think, wow, well, 6 comes out next year.
Yep.
When does 7 come out?
Yeah, good luck with that. But 5 came out in 2013, so there you go.
So 2040, right? That sounds like some Blade Runner type of year, right? Fun fact: this year is set after Blade Runner. So when it comes to Fallout, when the TV show of Season 1 came out, Fallout 3, Fallout 4 specifically, topped the charts across Europe and the UK. At that point, it was a 9-year-old game. and then you had Fallout 76, which was number 2 in the charts, which was once deemed a failure. And you look at how big that was for Fallout, right? Like we've all seen it before. We've all heard it. Like apparently that made heads roll at Microsoft, right? Like what the hell? Like this TV show made them millions upon tens and tens of millions, maybe even hundreds of millions of dollars, just because a TV show exists of an existing property where they have this 9-year-old game out in the wild, right? And you look at their properties and you look at like Elder Scrolls and Fallout, we don't get them often. We really don't, because they're big games. Like a Fallout and Elder Scrolls game, and even Starfield, they are these massively intricate video games. Like most games where you drop an item, it will just disappear eventually. You drop something in a random cave in an Elder Scrolls or Fallout game, that thing's probably still going to be there 100 hours later. Right? Everything about those games is so intricate. So I completely understand why they take that much time. But like, if you look at this from a company perspective, like you have to want to get Fallout content and Elder Scrolls content out more often. Like from a Gamescom, like a bunch of developers were talking about how we need to get games out more often, right? Because this whole like 5, 6, 7 year dev time for these games, it's not sustainable. It really isn't. And then when you have these huge IPs such as Fallout and Elder Scrolls, like, yeah, it makes sense that you get one game once in a blue moon, because it's a big game, takes a long time to make. But like realistically, we haven't had a new Elder Scrolls game since 2011, right? It's now 2025. Dude. It's probably going to be 2027 at the minimum when we get the next one, right? So like realistically, and if they are making a new Fallout game, that studio, it is going to be 2032. I've been saying for the longest time it's going to be 2032, 2023. 33.
Yeah.
But I think Microsoft, everyone at Bethesda, they have to realize, and they probably have realized, they need to make some sort of Fallout content now, right? Maybe it could be spin-offs. People keep wanting a New Vegas 2, although I don't know why people want a New Vegas 2, considering we're being the same city. But they could do whatever. Just like Fallout content, we need more of it. We need new content. And I think that, if you have one of the creators of Fallout, like, and who knows, it probably isn't Fallout. It is Obsidian Entertainment. They do their own thing. But if you look at how big something like an Avowed is, or the Outer Worlds is, like, what's to say that you can't have a Fallout game that big, right? You don't have to have a 100, 200, 300 hour Fallout game, right? I think that in the next couple of years, I think we are going to see multiple Fallout games in development at the same time. Not like big, brand new like Fallout games such as Fallout 5, 6, and 7, right? I think they're going to make Fallout games in different genres, because like it's an active IP, right? Why do you think there was a time where we're going to get tons of Star Wars games, right? Star Wars, globally known IP, beloved IP, depending on who you talk to. But like, whenever we get games in that universe, people get excited, right? People love Fallout. We just don't get them that often. And I think that if you're Microsoft, you really want to get Fallout content out there. Like, look, if you have a 9-year-old game topping the charts across Europe and the UK, right? That I bet they had really deep conversations at Bethesda and Microsoft, thinking like, what can we do? Because if I was Microsoft, I would have multiple big games in development at the same time. I'd have a studio dedicated to Fallout and a studio dedicated to Elder Scrolls, right? Where that's all they make, right? You have Todd Howard oversee these studios, and you have different teams such as Obsidian Entertainment, where they make spin-off games, right? That would be the way I would do it, because we can't realistically go 10 years in between sequels, right? People, and I've mentioned this before, but I'm right. It's like, if you go back to the 7th generation, if you played a game that you really loved, you enjoyed it, right? There was a high possibility that you were going to get multiple sequels that generation, right? That's not the case now. If you play a game now that you really like, if you do ever get a sequel, congratulations, you're probably going to have grandkids by the time that comes out, right? And that's the unfortunate reality of game development these days, I know in Japan, like, they are trying to make games faster, and with their level of fidelity that they're doing with games, like look at the Final Fantasy remake series, the fact they've been able to make them that quick is actually pretty impressive. I think Western gaming development specifically, they need to get something done. They need to make games faster. And I know people will say, "Oh, but the games are going to be buggier." It's like, I think this need for ultra hyper realism is going to be the downfall of like Western gaming, right? Everything has to be super realistic. People want 60 frames per second, 4K ray tracing with super realistic graphics with realistic skin on characters. It's not sustainable, right? Grand Theft Auto 6 looks bloody amazing. It's not photorealistic, but it looks damn good. But do we need a game to look that good? Would it be just as good if it looked a little bit worse? Yeah. I think that graphics aren't the be all and end all. It's just that you look at games now and it's like, okay, this game's going to take 5 years to make, 6 years, 7 years, 10 years, right? It's not sustainable. And if you're Microsoft and you have IP such as Fallout, like realistically, when do we get Starfield 2? 2039?
Jesus Christmas. Good luck with that, Charlie Brown. I literally have no idea. I don't even have
Yeah.
an answer for that.
And it's like, I completely get why developers want to get games out quicker. Like, and look at risk, right? If you make a game for, like, let's say 6 years, right? It has to be a smash hit the second it releases, right?
Yeah.
It's not sustainable, right? And look at the way games are made now. And this is another thing I've been complaining about for a long time. And yes, this is the segment where I'm complaining a lot about the industry. Open world, right? Can you remember before the 8th generation started, we got games all the time that were linear first-person shooters, linear third-person shooters, hub world RPGs. And then for some reason, last generation, all these studios start making open world games. Metal Gear Solid, of all franchises, went open world, filled with bloat, right? All these different franchises went open world. When before, when we got an open world game, it felt special. It felt unique. You'd get a Fallout 3, you'd get a Red Dead Redemption, a GTA 4, that type of thing. Now, it feels like a lot of games are open world just to justify its price. So where am I going with this? I'm saying that maybe Obsidian doesn't need to make a 100-hour Fallout game. Maybe they make a 30-hour Fallout game. Maybe they get a different studio to make a 20-hour Fallout first-person shooter, right? A spin-off, I think there's too much bloat in these open world games that maybe we can try something different. And I think, getting Tim Cain on board back at Obsidian, like, maybe this is a step in the right direction. Maybe some spin-offs, some smaller games. But I think looking ahead, getting development time way down is going to be a big factor.
Again, we don't know where these things are going to go. I'm in the camp with Jamie. I think that Microsoft, and more specifically Xbox Game Studios, ladies and gentlemen, is massive, right? They have almost 30 studios still, and they are cranking out game after game after game. But the problem with Bethesda more specifically is, and is it really a problem, or are we just entitled gamers? I don't really have an answer for this, ladies and gentlemen, outside of the fact that Bethesda themselves are sitting on 3 renowned, incredible IPs in Fallout, Elder Scrolls, and now Starfield. And we all want content for all of them. And I think that maybe this is a non-conversation if Fallout 76 and ESO don't exist, right? I know that for a lot of people, those games are good enough, and that's your fix, so to speak. But I'm like Jamie, and I'm like a lot of people here in the chat. We are single player gamers. And this is talking about myself, I want a single player experience in the Fallout world. And I don't feel like waiting another 10 years to get that. Like, honestly, I don't know how they're going to figure out this problem. But if if season 2 is as good as season 1, and it sure enough does look that way, people are going to be jazzed for potentially a remake in the form of New Vegas. Now, to give you guys and gals, maybe you missed the story, maybe you didn't. Jez Corden of Windows Central, and of course the Xbox 2 podcast with Randall Thor 19, great friends of this channel, great friends of the gaming community, basically talked about the Fallout 3 remake. But Jez Corden happened to mention that we might be also getting a remake of sorts, the same way Oblivion was done for both Fallout and Fallout New Vegas. And I would imagine New Vegas could come next year, unless they've been working on it in secret and that somehow dropped at this year's Game Awards. I mean, listen, anything can happen. But yes, I'll put it this way: I do think there's going to be a less rush to the finish line with Fallout if Fallout 3 remake happens, because as the game is old, right? And even though you can play it with updated graphics, and I know Jamie, you've actually posted on X you using Fallout, and it looks pretty good, but we would love an Oblivion styled upgrade. And I think that could be around the corner. But I also think that Fallout New Vegas, if they like money, they would have thought outside of the box to get that game done, especially after seeing the success of Oblivion. Oblivion broke sales records like you can't believe for a remake, and it's one of those things that could come out for every platform, not just Xbox. I mean, we're going to get it in Game Pass, sure, but it's going to go to PlayStation, maybe even go to the Switch for that matter. But